It's that time of the year when player retirements start coming around. Sometimes these coincide with a final farewell game where fans get to see a player for one last time. Andrew Gaff got one in front of Optus Oval and Liam Shields got one at North Melbourne. But the big story of round 23 was Dyson Heppell, who through team selection missed out against Sydney when the Bombers were still in the finals hunt. It rattled some Essendon people that the long-time servant and former club captain couldn't play one last time at Marvel Stadium in front of his own fans. It was the following week away at the Gabba where we would see him play one final time against the Brisbane Lions. Tom Hawkins will also join him and is very unlikely to be selected at any point during Geelong's hopefully deep run into September after missing their round 24 game against West Coast. Going back through recent times, there have been a handful of farewell games that have been memorable, both in a good and bad way. Two Geelong greats cover each of the possibilities. The 2020 AFL Grand Final will be the final game for Gary Ablett Jr. He played all three finals coming into the game, and it was his preliminary final against the Lions that saw him hit good form. He had 14 disposals and kicked 2 goals, being one of the best players on the field. At this stage in his career, Ablett was back to being a small forward whose creativity was important to the Cats. In a brutal start to the grand final, Patrick Dangerfield's elbow connected with Nick Dustin, who was concussed. It stopped play, but in the replays it was noticeable that after Ablett's handball, which was his first touch of the game, that his shoulder was smashed into the ground. At the same time Dustin was being assisted, Ablett was in serious pain and looked done for the day. He did get it strapped up and returned to finish out the match. He collected 12 disposals and laid 1 tackle, with his only real highlight in the game, this handball to Joel Selwood. Geelong would go on to lose by 31 points, but in a sign of great respect, just 3 minutes after the final siren had gone, a guard of honour was set up and Ablett for the last time was clapped off the field. 2 years after, Joel Selwood experienced the opposite. Now he did play in that 2020 grand final loss, but captained the team to success in 2022. We didn't know at the time the grand final would be his final game, but there was a general feeling the chance that it would be was high. It was a perfect day for all of Geelong. The team was the oldest ever to play an AFL game and had been undefeated since round 9 of 2022. Against the much younger Sydney side, their strength and experience was telling early and grew as the day went on. Selwood was just one of many great performers and had his own special moment with 3 minutes left. From a boundary throw-in, Brad Close's clever little tap saw Selwood hurriedly snap for goal. It was just perfectly worked back, and the emotion he and his teammates displayed showed how important that goal was to him. In his 355th and final game, Selwood was able to hold up the Premiership Cup with his longtime coach Chris Scott and have the perfect ending to an all-time great career. In 2016, the careers of 4 North Melbourne players didn't end so well, and the fallout lasted a long time. The Kangaroos were the surprise team in 2016, sprinting away to a 10-win and 1-loss start after 11 rounds, but skipped forward to the end of the home and away season, and they sat just 8th with 2 more wins on the year, and only made the final 8 because of their percentage. Rumours about some of their ageing stars finishing up began, and it was officially announced on August 24th, the eve of round 23, that Brent Harvey, Drew Petrie, Michael Ferrito and Nick Dalsano would not be offered contracts for the next season. The timing itself was strange, just before the finals, and the mass exodus of experience in one go was criticised. Still, the team travelled over to Adelaide for their first final. Despite being down by just 2 goals at half time, the Crows ran away in the elimination final. They kicked 15 goals to 7 in the second half and sent North Melbourne into the off-season. The 4 players who were finishing up all played in the game. Nick Dalsano gathered 29 disposals, Harvey had 25, and Ferrito in defence got 19 touches and took 5 marks. Peachy was the only one who struggled out of the quartet and only could get 6 disposals. But he was surprisingly the one who eventually came out of retirement, played another 16 games for the West Coast Eagles. The 4 walked off together alongside their families and were appreciated by the fans one more time, albeit at the Adelaide Oval. The following year, North Melbourne fell to 15th on the ladder, and despite a winning season in 2018, the club has struggled. They haven't featured in finals since 2016, and releasing all of that experience in one go may have had a lasting effect. One of the best farewell games occurred one season later. Going into round 23 of 2017, the Premiership defending Western Bulldogs were 11-10 and equal on points with 8th. They were a shot at finals, but their lowly percentage would make it challenging. Their opponents in Hawthorn had just 9 wins in the year and were beginning to change the guard after their 3-peat success. But the Friday night game's main purpose was to honour 3 greats. Western Bulldog players in Matthew Boyd and Bob Murphy, and Hawthorn's Luke Hodge would all finish up after the game. The goal for goal contest early saw Murphy take a mark on the lead. He slotted the set shot to get a goal in his final game. Midway through the third term, it looked like Hawthorn would run away, but the Dogs just kept in touch. The telling play of the game would come with 2 minutes left and the margin at a close 10 points. Luke Hodge got a fantastic spoil in and got a round of applause from the Hawthorn fans. He ended up going out as the winner on the night, but the near packed out Marvel Stadium honoured all 3 men who were cheered off. It's rare to see this many people stay after the final siren, and it goes to show the impact all 3 had in the AFL. But the big twist was Luke Hodge, who made a 180-degree shift. He did announce in July of 2017 he would retire, but in October formally requested a trade out to the Brisbane Lions. He played a further 2 seasons and 41 games in Queensland, officially hanging up the boots in 2019. His impact at the Lions was profound, as his first season there they won just 5 games, but would go on to finish top 4 the following year.